Hello, and welcome to Secure Talk, a podcast where we explore the critical world of information security innovation and compliance. I'm your host, Justin Beals, founder and CEO of StrikeGraph. Together with our expert guests, we'll provide you tools and tips to help your business thrive in the rapidly evolving cybersecurity environment. Thanks, Juliet, for joining us for our 2025 Security Awareness Training. You have our final section today, the human element. Before we dive in, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your background and what you do?
Yeah. Hi, Justin. Thanks for having me. I am our CFO and also oversee our operations at StrikeGraph. I oversee human resources, the operations between teams, and also our finances.
Awesome. So we have up this slide. It's a comparison between something called a security mindset and a concept of rule following. Why is the mindset approach superior in developing a security culture?
Yeah, when we think about rule following, usually rules are very specific. They define very rigid constructs with which you're supposed to do or not do. And when we think of a mindset, it's more of an understanding or a broader understanding of the reasoning behind it. And so it provides more flexibility for folks to understand and also be curious about anything that relates to security that might fall outside of a rule, but still be very much a component that needs to be considered as a part of ensuring security.
Harder thing to teach the mindset than the rules, of course, but very valuable to generating that fundamental culture, correct?
Yeah, and as an example, if there's a rule that you're supposed to report a phishing attempt, you might see a phishing attempt and report it. Well, if there's something that happens that maybe it isn't a phishing attempt, but it doesn't look right, and you're curious about it, and you've got a mindset around recognizing and looking for and understanding that there is a security threat, you'll be more inclined to report something or identify something that is a security risk that might not be specifically addressed by a rule that the organization has.
One of the challenges I think that a lot of security programs have is that when an incident happens, it can be so dramatic an impact on the business that people get very upset and angry. And that can lead security programs to focus on punishing mistakes. This diagram shows a different approach.
Yeah, a fear-based security really fails because it discourages people from bringing those kinds of breaches forward by creating an environment that really celebrates and gives positive reinforcement to the people that identify a security breach or an issue and celebrates it within the team and rewards it. It really just creates an overall environment where people, one, feel comfortable bringing it forward, two, they feel like connected with their teams and like they're a part of the larger kind of mission and culture of the company. And, it's like we're all in this together, and they've just helped kind of keep the organization and the employees within it safe. And it's really just a cultural shift from being more of like a security police where people are kind of ensuring that you're doing the right thing all the time to really everyone's a partner in ensuring the success and safety of the security for our organization.
I mean, definitely the rubber hits the road in not singling out and I think to the point of this diagram, providing recognition regardless of an outcome of following appropriate behaviors.
Yeah, and it's turning something into, for example, if there's fear in the community at the organization around reporting something, they might sit on it or have time to consider some negative consequences and maybe delay sharing the information. Whereas if you have a culture that really supports the reporting of these issues, it turns into a how fast can I get this reported so that my teammates are aware and we can take care of it as fast as we can. And it's really just shifting the energy from one space to another, which leads to faster results in addressing any security issue that comes up.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a dose of our own medicine here. And there's been a lot of things to fear and be careful of in security awareness training. Let's talk about a couple of success stories. We have one from finance, healthcare, and AI operations. Can you highlight some of the examples of successful stories?
Yeah, so AI systems are really great at detecting patterns and anomalies to patterns. And so, by using AI systems to do that, these patterns can really prevent a lot of different transactions from happening. I think we see a lot of credit card companies and banking institutions using this to kind of detect fraudulent charges, but it's a fantastic way to prevent and detect different patterns. In healthcare, when you've got a security mindset, having people that understand the environment, understand how information is used, they can really identify when information is being requested that doesn't seem to fit how information is typically shared. So unauthorized access or unusual access, this is going to be identified by somebody that has a kind of a curious mindset and a security mindset that where they're going to question things that look unusual. Yeah. And then in finance, we do have tools that identify things like I mentioned before, but, having different people also that are familiar with what types of transactions look like, what their budgets are, they have approval processes in place, and these types of just deep understanding of how the business works and expectations around what they typically see and what they typically don't see, it really gets an opportunity for them to identify things. We see this on our team actually quite a bit where we're catching fraudulent requests for invoices to be paid by our team.
I think one of the truths about all of these is that both the vulnerability and the opportunity for success in security comes down to the people and what we choose to do.
Yeah, it's also a really a good, one of the things that culturally supports a good security practice is everyone on the team understanding everybody's role and how what their roles and responsibilities at the organization. Because having an understanding of the people that interact with other teams helps them also identify, particularly, for example, like phishing attempts where people are sending emails impersonating other individuals with the team is a really common way that we see security breaches happen.
Yeah. So as we drive back up to kind of a high-level view of an organization, we have a model in our slides here of maturity around security. What's your advice for organizations that want to advance in their maturity of security operations?
Yeah, I think that it's to focus on first just implementing improvements rather than trying to go for a complete transformation. We all start somewhere. And, you can tell by looking at this chart that the reactivity down at the bottom, and I think we can all agree that when you're in a reactive state, it's terribly inefficient. You're spending a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of conversations trying to react to situations that, in an efficient way. And so if you go to the opposite end of the spectrum here to optimizing, really what you're doing is by having a security mindset and just incorporating that understanding into your decision-making process, into your operational planning, it becomes really efficient and really cost-effective in that way, so that you're basically taking, what is reactive at the back and turning it into more of like a control at the front end. You're controlling for a lot of it in the design of how you manage your operations.
Yeah. I think certainly this is something that I tell a lot of organizations that are asking about what to do for security is that all of them were already doing some security. So I like your recommendation of incremental approach because oftentimes we need to build on top of what is already working.
Yeah, the other recommendation that I would just have for folks that either manage or in leadership is that the culture really does start with the leadership team. There can be kind of cultures that say, man, these people, they're imposing all this stuff, like it's slowing us down. But when leadership really leads with this and says, you know what, we're going to take just a little bit more time to consider this aspect at the front end of a decision making process and really consider some of these things. It may feel like that is an additional layer of burden to take on, but really that leadership perspective is really saving time and potential reactive or inefficient use of company resources at a later date. And there's just so much opportunity to make a really impactful change in the organization by really kind of shooting for optimization at that high level.
Wonderful. Juliet, we really appreciate your help and your, of course, hard work at our own organization. But thanks for sharing your perspective on the human element as a part of security awareness training. Thanks for all of our listeners and have a wonderful day.
Thanks.